What's going on, my fellow A-Plusers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode. It is I, your Morphinominal host, Adam Perez, back once again as we're set to go ahead and get into Kiramager episode number 43, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, it is I. I know this handsome face is in fact back. I know a lot of you were probably wondering where I was for Toku Tuesday, but guys, living out here in Texas ain't easy this past week. Ain't easy at all whatsoever. I mean, we got hit with a winter blast, to say the least, and my power literally has been out for like 2 to 3 days, to be quite honest with you. My power went out, I want to say, early Monday morning, maybe like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning. We kind of woke up because we did get hit with a winter blast. I'm talking snow, I'm talking ice, kind of fell overnight on Monday evening, and all of our power wind up going out. For me, we kind of had rolling outages maybe the first half of that morning, right? I was supposed to go to work at 9 o'clock. About 8:30, my power went out again. Came back on maybe an hour or two later for like 15-20 minutes to heat up. Then it went out again, and it kind of did that rotating outage till about noon or so, and then it was just no more power at all. So my power was out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and it wind up kicking in maybe the middle of the night on Wednesday going into Thursday. Before I even left on Monday, my water was shut off also. I don't know if that's because of the pipes wind up freezing or if the apartment complex actually remembered to turn off the water. Who certainly knows? But yeah, to say the least, it's been kind of crazy out here. I did go to my girlfriend's house out in Fort Worth. She did manage to have limited power at her place. But I don't believe the internet was working too well at all, honestly, either. So yeah, we were kind of out of a lot of stuff this past week. So I didn't have any of my equipment, wasn't able to broadcast or go live or anything like that, guys. So I do apologize of not being here for Toku Tuesday, but to say the least, Texas was hammered this week. And so this is honestly my first time today being back at the apartment. And not only that, just seeing what's working. Spectrum contacted me earlier this week saying that the internet was down, but I came home thankfully and the internet was in fact up. So my power is back, my internet is back, but as of right now I still have no water. So I did have to go ahead and stock up on a ton of water earlier this afternoon also. So we'll see how we manage here in Texas with no water. So keep your fingers crossed for me, guys. But to say the least, my girlfriend certainly came through when we certainly needed to. Gave me a nice warm place to certainly stay because it was bad here, guys. It was bad. So but we're back home, playing a little bit of a catch up. I probably will drop like my Black Lightning review on Friday for you guys, and then Friday evening we do have our WandaVision stuff also, and then of course Saturday we've got Dino Fury premiering. So a lot of stuff for me to just jump right back into now that I'm back home and my power is still up. So keeping my fingers crossed that it certainly stays that way, to certainly say the least. So I'm back, guys. Thank you very much for your patience, guys. I really do appreciate it. But listen, if you're glad I'm back, if you love our content, as always, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, and of course that big thumbs up. Hit that like button if you continue to love our content. But guys, episode 43 of Kiramager wind up dropping, and to be honest with you, today was actually the first day I got the opportunity to watch this episode. And now that I have watched it like back and forth and to and fro, I really wish I was around like Monday or Tuesday to certainly talk about this with you guys, because man, so much happened in this episode that we definitely have to go ahead and get into, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go ahead and start kicking off episode number 43. Literally 2 more episodes left, guys. 2 more episodes left. They have had sort of this ominous buildup, this ominous foreshadowing as in regards to what's gonna happen with Juru, right? We definitely felt like episode 42 was a little bit of a game changer. You know, like that time that they wind up morphing in their command center very much felt like a finality, right? Almost like maybe one of our few times that we're going to get the opportunity to see our team all together once again, you know, before the finale. Like, we're really getting into the nitty-gritty and final battle for our Kiramagers in here, and they really continued sort of that ominous foreshadowing with Juru in here. You know, even having Fire wanting to say some concerned words, or I don't want to quite say a farewell or anything, but you can clearly tell that even Fire knew that moments like this were more pivotal than anything, and he kind of had this weird feeling that maybe he certainly wouldn't see Juru again. And then, of course, you get that slow motion shot of Juru running out of the command center, perhaps for the final time, right? Just really thick with the foreshadowing and things like that. So I thought that was pretty interesting and neat to kind of see how they pull that off, especially considering what the outcome of this episode is, of us really getting an opportunity to see Juru falling down sort of this cavern, maybe to never be seen again, right? We see him, I think just the amusement park ticket kind of left behind, if you will. And even if you look at the previews for next week's episode, Juru's nowhere to certainly be found. So they're definitely playing up this role that Juru's bitten the dust. He's no longer here. But I would not surprise me if Juru pops back up. Now, if Juru is dead officially and he never comes back, I may be revisiting this episode to cry tears, to be honest with you. But I definitely don't think that Juru is certainly gone, and we'll definitely talk about as to why, right? So really the main theme for our Kiramagers here is that they have to get to Jotunheim. The last time that they saw King Oriden, he was in fact being captured by Golden Garza here and told that he was going to be executed on Jotunheim. Moryu thinks that this is really a case of humility, to go ahead and humiliate and embarrass King Oriden in front of everybody over in Jotunheim. So our team winds up managing to come up with the idea that, listen, we've got to go to Jotunheim in order to save King Oriden. And I love the fact that of all people to give them that opportunity, it is in fact Tarantula. As we wind up seeing Takamichi, Karame Silver himself does capture Tarantula from last week's episode, and he's really trying to convince and really rough up Tarantula a little bit to let them into Jotunheim. And I gotta say, quick honorable mention to the fact of Tarantula and Juru's connection in here, right? Like, it just takes a simple please from Juru and a request from him in order to get Tarantula to go ahead and just be like, sure, anything for you, Juru, right? Like, after that odd cat episode that we wind up getting, but really important and impactful episode for both Juru and especially Tarantula, really Tarantula's sort of turning period, if you will. I really enjoyed their connection that they wind up having, and the understanding of them both being creators and being very creative there in their own right. They certainly have a ton in common, and considering the fact that it really was Juru's sort of inspiration that helped get Tarantula to this moment, whatever you want, man, whatever you want, almost like a life debt, if you will. Like, you need it done, Juru, you got it, buddy. And so I love the fact that Tarantula just easily opens it up for them and lets them through. But the moment Tarantula does find an opportunity to escape, talk about taking advantage of the things that wind up coming to you at those opportune times. So I love the fact that Tarantula winds up leaving. Now, whether or not Tarantula pops back up, maybe to help the Kiramagers one last time, we'll definitely have to see once we get to that point. But Tarantula, so far so good in regards to actually making it through this season alive. But a couple things here. Can I just be critical real quick before we even get into the Garza and Juru stuff, because to me that's really the meat of this episode. I really got to say, I was not the fan of just Garza's plan in regards to the execution of King Oriden. Like, if that's an execution, I mean, talk about just giving King Oriden the opportunity to leave, right? I mean, this is villainy failure 101, right? The things that a villain does that really just always upsets their plans, either even giving like this huge speech about what your plan is certainly going to be so that everybody has the opportunity to thwart it, if you will, throw a wrench in your plans, or or it's leaving the person that you have planned to get killed to be left alone to their own devices. And it's like, King Orden is super powerful, yet you're gonna leave him here to just be sucked down and swallowed by this beast. Like, you don't even know if King Orden's gonna escape. Like, there's a 50-50 chance that King Orden escapes this plan that you have. And for somebody who's been so eager to just kill this man, the fact that you not only bring him to his regular form, but then you put him in the let's see if you can get your way out of this now. Why? Stab that man, kill that man with that sword or something, Garza, right? Like, it baffled my mind. I'll be back to see if you're done by then. Why are you playing this waiting game with him, Garza? You're asking to be defeated. So when I saw this part of the episode, I'm just thinking to myself, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. You got to kill him right away. I was not a fan of the aspect of the episode where it's just like, let's have a conversation in the middle of being swallowed, right? Because if King Orden's situation wasn't worse enough as it was, when Garza just leaves him there to die, the fact that Juru and the rest of the Kiramagers actually make it there, and instead of saving the man immediately, Juru just runs into the situation and gets stuck at the same time. And instead of actually trying to come up with a plan to leave, they just, I know this is a really bad timing, King Orden, but we got to talk. Really, you're going to talk in the middle of King Orden trying to save himself? It didn't make any sense to me. Though, and what really didn't make any sense to me, by the way, I have a feeling that Shiguru has a great fishing technique that he's been working on all season long for just this situation, right? So instead of Juru having to get into the suction of this gigantic creature to help King Orden out, why didn't Shiguru just use his fishing technique, wrap it around King Orden and yank him out, right? They gotta sit there trying to destroy this monster. Clearly it's not working. They gotta wait for King Orden to actually be swallowed and then use the careful go arrow. I'm just thinking to myself, guys, we're doing too much. It's almost to the point to where, like, almost as though like one fake death of King Orden isn't enough. You got to give us like 2 or 3 now, right? Like, even though the fact that we swallowed the idea that King Orden could have been dead at the very beginning of this season, we've been living on hope that King Orden's gonna survive, and then you got to hit us with like 2 or 3 more other close deaths for King Orden. Maybe one too many, guys. It almost just felt like it was a drawn out process just to create drama, just to maybe give the other Kiramagers something to do, so that we have sort of these really intimate and powerful and impactful moments between Juru and Garza. So I got to admit, man, Garza, for somebody who I thought you've been a brilliant villain, I thought things have worked out for you pretty well for the most part. The fact that you literally leave King Orden with a 50-50 chance of surviving, only to come back and see that homeboy has managed to escape. Surprise. So yeah, it just felt like really weird writing to me, honestly, how it was handled. King Orden having to run in place, trying to force himself. Shiguru not using his fishing technique when they could have honestly solved this problem 5 minutes ago. So yeah, just a little bit odd. But I got to tell you, man, the money in this episode is Garza and Juru here this week. After last week's episode, when we come to realize that the little boy was Garza himself, one of the questions that we asked was the idea of how does somebody like that go to somebody like this? And I thought it was maybe the idea and the aspect of Garza just being jealous, being just a little bit younger. If only he was just a little bit older, he would have had that power, right? I mean, I feel like that's some of the issues that Garza has expressed to us, at least this season long. But we clearly come to find out in this episode that these feelings that Garza has are sadly just not his own, we come to find out that it's really a lie, that it's a scheme that by Emperor Yodan this whole entire time. The idea of getting to see a young King Orden and a young Garza who would eventually grow up to be incredibly powerful. And to realize as Emperor Yodan that your days will eventually sort of be numbered, right? And what better way in order to have your own survival than to somehow turn a family member on his other family member. And we get to see here in a traumatic, sort of heartbreaking flashback of Yodan taking advantage of a young Garza who had a lot of life still inside of him. Had a lot of life to certainly live and big expectations to achieve. Right. The story that we get here from King Orden talking to Juru, the idea that Garza at some point in time had plans on becoming the legendary hero himself for Crystalia, right? Maybe at some point he would have become sort of the Red Kiramager or whatever the case may be, or just literally the actual hero of Crystalia. That's what he had plans on eventually sort of becoming. But Emperor Yodan, in his scheming, could not deal with the idea of having somebody as powerful as Orden, who we've already seen, and then come to realize that he's got a younger brother that has just as much insparkleization or inspiration in himself to create. Just as King Orden. Talk about a deadly duo here to Emperor Yodan's potential for power. And we get to see here that he's the one that winds up erasing his memories, sort of engulfing his mind, allowing him and forcing him to hate his family. And then just seeing just some of the moves that Garza has kind of done over the years to wind up bringing to the downfall of Planet Crystalia also himself, right? So to be able to have that much hate carried around in you for your whole life, and to think that you honestly feel that way about people, when in reality it's been somebody that's just been locking your memories away and forcing you to do these things and feel these ways, that's heartbreaking, and I love the connection that we see here between Garza and Juru. For me, it kind of bothered me a little bit and rattled me a little bit, the idea that Juru, even we saw this a little bit in episode 42 in last week's episode, right? When we see Golden Garza, and there's a moment of hesitancy from Juru there, and he's like, "Oh, this is so amazing. You look so cool." I'm thinking to myself, Juru, will you get in the fight? Like, stop like lollygagging and being in awe of what this guy looks like and how cool he looks, and get into the fight, man. Like, your team needs you. So I gave Juru a little bit of grief, I felt like, or at least if I didn't say it on the show when I watched the episode, I definitely did. And he does it again in this episode, and I didn't fully get it at first until the very end. The fact that when you see Juru gushing over Garza, it's not the fact that he's gushing over the fact that this villain did something cool, right? But he's gushing over the fact that he realizes just how creative Garza is also, and how the fact of Garza's inspiration to create something amazing and to create something new also gives Juru that same sort of inspiration also, to the point to where Juru now kind of looks up to him a little bit, right? It almost kind of reminded me of when he looked up to like the manga artist, the idea of like coming across some of his work and things like that, right? Being inspired by seeing what other people are able to kind of create around you and things like that. I love the fact that he refers to Garza sort of as this master artist. And there again, they do such a great job of showcasing you how powerful somebody like Juru is, right? To kind of take us on this crazy journey of trying to figure out what's going on with Juru, seeing just the incredible hatred that Garza certainly has, but then seeing the fact that his inspiration, or Juru's inspiration from Garza, allows him to now help Garza continue to grow, right? Like, it's a really weird combination of how a cause and effect, and how it all kind of comes complete circle anytime like Juru's involved. It's unbelievable to me. The fact that you have somebody like Garza who cannot stand the fact that Juru has that type of ability, right? And we've seen it all season long, Garza just hating this kid. And even when Garza becomes his most powerful, the person that he hates, he's also inspiring to be more powerful and to be more creative. And that inspiration for him then allows Juru to get to that peak of his abilities, maybe not even his peak of abilities, honestly, but to get into his power bag and use that to tap into Garza's sort of Kala mentality, if you will, right? And to open up his mind, allow him to see some of these memories that have been hidden inside of him, right? Destroying Emperor Yodan's ability over Garza, busting through, if you will, rescuing Garza. I mean, damn, if that doesn't give you chills to see how it just kind of comes all full circle, when anytime Juru seems to be involved in this stuff, man, I love the fact that he breaks through and he shows Garza the truth, and not so much the idea that Emperor Yodan shows him the truth and then Juru comes in, right? Because he's still very much in his mindset of, I cannot stand you, Kirame Red, right? Like, I need to defeat you. Orden, Takamichi, and Kirame Red are my 3 victims, right? And even in the midst of all that, he unlocks his memories, allows Garza to start feeling love and hatred for himself, I guess, or just, the fact that he feels terrible after what he did. The idea of, pushing to kill his brother, bringing down. These are all real emotions that Garza's experiencing that Juru helps him unlock and feel again before Yodan even comes through and fully reveals his plan or what he wind up doing to Garza at such a young age. I mean, I love the hope. I love the immediate sort of forgiveness that Juru winds up handing out. The fact that Garza has tried to kill you numerous times all season long, and yet despite that, when you realize that there is still good in this person and that this person has been wronged, you're there to want to give him or want to use one of your wishes from the Grantor Stones in order to go ahead and make things okay and to bring Garza back into the fold. I got to tell you guys, if that's not a picture of working together and unity and coming together and showing forgiveness and acceptance, I don't know what is, man. And that's all coming from our Kirame Red leader in Juru in here. And again, I've said this before, there is a ton of undertones of this Messiah idea or this God concept for Juru, right? I mean, honestly, the fact that Juru dies at the end of this episode or dies at this end of the episode, the fact that we may not even see him in episode 44, maybe at the very end, maybe at 45, right? This feels like he rose again from the dead after so many days, right? And came back and saved everybody. I mean, those are just the type of things that I'm feeling. It's like the idea that Juru has impacted these people. The fact that you've got Takamichi in here along with Mabushina when they're facing off against Garza, right? And Mabushina says, what are you going to do with everything after you've killed us all off? And he's like, I'm probably going to create the world to my liking. And she challenges him in the fact of saying that you can't do that, but you know who could do something like that? Juru, because Juru has that ability, has that power. And you even have somebody like Takamichi who comes in and starts backing him and starts amplifying all the things that Juru has certainly done for them in their lives in pushing them and making them stronger and things like that. I love the impact that Juru has had on everybody in this freaking story, man. From Carantula up to all the Kiramagers, and now even touching somebody as evil as Garza, or what we've led to believe was Garza's mentality all along, if you will. So I think, listen, for me, when it comes to Emperor Yodan, I mean, talk about violating somebody at their utmost. I mean, talk about just being as wrong of an evil entity as you could possibly imagine. The fact that you literally violated this young kid, took his life away from him before he even got the opportunity to live it to its fullest. I mean, to be able to rob somebody of their life, I mean, that's as deceitful and mischievous and just evil as they come, man. And I just, I felt absolutely terrible. I felt really terrible for Garza. I didn't think that I certainly would. But, I think it's the fact that Juru kind of gives him this hope that maybe he can fix things, even though his life has been stripped away from him and he's done all these evil deeds to everybody, to fight to your last breath to undo the wrongs that were done to you, just to kind of be taken down by this guy easily. A part of me is hoping that Juru saves the day, and whether he resurrects Garza or these other people, who knows? But I feel like the power of Juru has yet to even be fully showcased to us. And if there's anything that's been teased, it's this Phoenix thing, the Phoenix being sort of King Oridan's spirit animal, if you will. It wouldn't surprise me if it's for Juru also, and he winds up being resurrected or coming back even more powerful in his return also. So I'm expecting big things. Again, I don't know if you guys are catching on to these God concepts that I feel like Juru tends to kind of represent this Messiah, if you will, amongst this group, or just the idea of him literally being a creator, to be able to think it and make it happen and come into reality. I think is really, really telling stuff, man. So I'm loving what they've been doing with the Juru character, how he's impacted everybody's lives. But, Garza, I don't know if this, I don't want to say this is the end of anybody just yet. We still have 2 more episodes left. We'll certainly see what happens. And poor Yodana still stuck inside Emperor Yodan, just kind of go, spinning her wheels, twiddling her thumbs, waiting for something to happen or somebody to ask her to do something. So we'll see if she has any impact kind of going forward. But listen, guys, I do have some questions here, I believe, from L'Oreal. Let me get to these really quickly. I know this episode is running a little bit long, but listen, guys, I've been gone all week. I've been wanting to talk about this episode with you guys, so F it. You know what I'm saying? Question: it was awful seeing Garza die, wasn't it? Yeah, it definitely struck a chord for sure. Doesn't Kiramager know how to pull the heartstrings or what? Yeah, each and every time, man. I felt like something was going to happen. They definitely had, like I said, those ominous undertones and overshadows, or those overshadows of of things maybe possibly happening to Juru, and seeing him kind of fall off the cliff. I just thought he would pop back up. I didn't think that they were playing off the part that he's dead. I just felt that he fell down a trench and he'll come back next week's episode. But when I looked at the preview and saw Juru's not even in this episode, it doesn't look like it from the preview shots that we wind up seeing. But we'll see. We'll definitely see. After seeing both Oridan and Garza as children, it was turbo heartbreaking seeing what happened to Garza. Yeah, especially the fact that Oridan taking inspiration from his own little brother and drawing something just as cool with the Phoenix, right? Then also again getting to see Juru tap into that same picture even before it was revealed to us that that's what King Oridan was drawing. So again, I'm trying to figure out Juru's connection to it all. But yeah, once you see those two brothers just loving each other, right? And that was one of the heartbreaking moments for me when Garza realized, like, I loved my brother. I can't believe that I did this to him, that somebody forced me to do this, to not only bring down my planet, but also to bring down somebody that I loved. And for me, that was really the heartbreaking moment, was the fact that he remembered, I loved my brother once. And to see that sort of flashback of when that time was, and then to see sort of this now child Garza that's been influenced and infiltrated with this dark energy, by Yodan, and then seeing him step on his brother's picture, just like, just ripping somebody's childhood away from them, man. That's as evil as they come, man. As evil as they come. When Juru reawakened Garza's memory and almost had him purified, it was straight up Sailor Moon type situation. He's Jean Grey and Sailor Moon mixed into one, kind of, sort of. Well, I didn't read too much about or watch too much Sailor Moon growing up, so I don't really know the idea and the concept behind it. But yeah, I mean, it definitely felt very much like the sense of like almost purifying him, right? Awakening him from this deep sleep, or this big lie, if you will, that he's kind of lived his whole entire life. Again, showing how powerful he is, that even he's able to get through Emperor Yodan's influence after all this time when nobody else has certainly been able to. So I did love the fact of getting to see how powerful Juru was, and really to see him bring Garza back to that brink of being remorseful for everything that he's done. And again, understanding that despite all the terrible shit you've done to us, Garza, he's forgiving, right? Forgiving and wanting to give another opportunity to, and saying there's another chance for you to prove yourself, man. And that's super admirable, because you kind of wish people were like that in today's society. You know what I mean? Not necessarily turn a blind eye, but understanding a little bit more empathy and forgiveness, if you will. So I think Juro's been a fantastic model this season, to be perfectly honest with you. But listen, guys, at the end of the day, those are just my A+ opinions. At the end of the day, though, I definitely want to go ahead and know yours. So what did you guys think about episode number 43 of Kiramager? We're almost to the end, guys. 2 more episodes to go, 2 more weeks of Kiramager. Let's keep our fingers crossed and continue to hope that they definitely continue to knock this out of the park for us. But other than that, guys, those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below after this airs. If you haven't subscribed to us yet, please go ahead and do so. Click that bell notification and, of course, that like button. If you want to follow us on social media, you can definitely do so right here at A+ Opinions, and all of our links and contacts or stuff are in the description box below, ladies and gentlemen. But other than that, do me a big favor, guys. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and as always, keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Kiramager change!